Makes sense because you're again increasing outreach.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Hmm. Um, you wrote, produced, and filmed social media videos. We've already talked about this. You art directed and photographed monthly photo shoots. We've already, I think, covered this as well. These were for the advertisement efforts, right? The monthly photo
Yeah.
shoots.
Yeah.
Okay, the last bullet here is that you created print and online collateral, including newspapers, reports, promotional materials, and program sponsorship outreach materials. We've already talked about the sponsorships. Uh, what about the newsletter? Was that already existing, or did you implement the newsletter?
Yeah. No, she had. What did she have before? I don't remember what she had before, but it was not. We completely used a new program called Emma. So we switched to that, and then I would spend. I think it was bi-month. Well, it depended on whether or not there was a campaign happening, but usually they
Mm-hmm.
were like bi-monthly emails that I would design and send out. So I had fun with that because they, because that community wasn't used to getting those types of emails. So all of a sudden they got cool ones with videos and different gifs and stuff. So I completely redid that.
Okay.
What was the other thing? Reports. Reports is like annual reports. So I helped design the way that looks layout wise.
Okay. That pretty much covers it. Do you have anything else to add for this position?
I don't think so.
Okay, let's move on. Your fourth experience here is senior graphic designer for Melrose Family Fashions from September 2014 till March 2016. Again, what were your daily responsibilities here?
So that job was mainly focused on, well, when I got there, signage. So I would
Mm-hmm.
make all the price point signage that you see in like regular stores, like Old Navy, like, these pants or whatever price. So that kind of signage is what I was hired to do. So of course I did that, but I was bored, so I tried to do like more creative things. So I did. We had that job was so ideally. Also, I would want this kind of job again. The reason I left this job was because of management, but the job itself was so fun because it was
Mhm.
it was photo shoots that my position before did not help with. But as soon as I got there, I wanted to be involved in that because those photos were being used for the signage. So I wanted to be able to have a say, what that looked like. So we got a local photographer because we didn't have that before. That person was like 10 hours away. So we switched to a local photographer and I went with them and did like the art direction for the photo shoots and complete. I mean, you can tell a difference from what they did before and what I helped with, and then what changed after I left. So there is a huge difference in what everything looks like. But I tried so hard to focus that on modern things, and because that's not what it was before. That word modern did not exist with them.
So it
So it
was
was
outdated.
oh my God, yes, it still is. So it was so hard. It was so hard because I wanted to get them to be modern because I knew that they could, and it's so hard when you have somebody that is vehemently against that. So
So they were
it,
reluctant to change.
oh my God, yes, she's like 80 years
Okay.
old, so that's why. And when you have somebody in management that is so used to doing what she's doing, that's literally what they would tell me in meetings. But we've been doing this way since whatever, whatever. Well, can we change it, please? Like, there's so many things that can be done. Because I don't know if you've ever been to one of those stores, but I would not suggest it. It's not the best clothing, but they would focus on the junior audience. But we
Okay.
also have the departments of plus and men's and kids, and they never wanted to do advertising on any of them. They only wanted to focus on juniors. And I'm like, if we have all these clothes, why are these not being focused on? So that's what I did. I especially with plus, because that's the kind of clothing that I buy. So I was like, there's already, in that
Mm-hmm.
market, people don't feature that. So I try my best to try to get those particular um,
Okay, so
images.
you shifted the focus, the marketing focus,
Yes,
and
yes,
and
definitely.
and you obviously by shifting the marketing focus, you impacted sales because before nobody knew that the store was selling clothes for men or plus size women. But how would they
Yeah,
sell stuff if people don't know they do it? So
yeah,
you did that.
exactly. Yeah. Tell them that. Oh, it was so hard. And that, like, I don't have numbers for any of that because they would never tell me. Their thing was always, oh, sales are decreasing. Sales are doing so bad. Well, can you give me a chance to try to fix that? And I just wasn't given that chance. Like, I
I,
tried.
I think there was
So,
an obvious reason for the decline in sales. Nobody
yes,
knew what they were offering.
exactly. Oh, I would love the chance to redo that. But that's the kind of environment I want to be in, minus the crazies. Like, I would like to be able to completely.
Okay,
It was a
so
fun job minus that part, but
I'm
yeah.
assuming that you tried very hard to generate some buy-in with the senior management to make all these changes, but I'm guessing they were reluctant.
But yeah. So I did it anyway. I did it anyway, but it was always like I would design something and then it would be like, no, you need to make it look like what we had before. Okay. So I would still do it in hopes that they would change their mind, but it was rare. But as far as like the photo shoots go, they would let me do those photos. And I mean, those photos sometimes wouldn't be included in their signage since that was their main priority. So I would use that for social instead. So,
Okay.
so what I was doing wasn't going towards nothing.
No, no, definitely. It was impacting them in a positive way. They just didn't see it.
Exactly.
Okay, so
Because that company is not, they're not, they don't care about, they don't, I mean, I don't know how to say it. They just don't know enough about social to care about it, I guess. So
yeah,
they just only focus their efforts on signage when there was like so many other things, that they could be focusing on. So I did it anyway. I just did it differently so that they couldn't knock me for it. I also tried to start videos there.
mhm.
I didn't get to finish it, but that's where I started to teach myself how to make videos so that we could have something in addition to the pictures that we posted on social, like
Makes sense.
lookbooks and stuff like that.
Okay, makes sense. Okay, so in a way, you conducted change management as well. That's great. Uh, let's move on to the second bullet, which is you analyzed online marketing metrics to improve brand awareness and uh, drive advertising success, I guess. So we've already talked about how you improved brand awareness by revamping these ancient uh, ancient
Yeah,
marketing
that's a good
tactics,
word to use.
ancient marketing tactics that they have. But how else did you improve brand awareness?
Also, I tried to improve brand awareness. What else did I try? I mean, it's mainly. I mean, we would do events as well, but not. I mean, not the kind of events that I did, just in other places. These were like, come buy our clothes. So, oh god. So I would make these hitty, and because I was not part of, because this brand is super old, so I was obviously not a part of uh, designing the brand itself. I had to stick by their guidelines on a lot of stuff,
Mm-hmm.
font wise, like their colors, and so some of that stuff I don't even like to show people because it's so ugly. But I had to. I made a lot of the events advertisements with their brand. I had to keep it consistent, unfortunately, for that part of it. What else did I
Makes
do
sense.
there?
Okay. So either ways, you optimized brand awareness and marketing efforts in the way you could. Makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
The next bullet here is that okay, we've already talked about this, that you directed video tutorials and weekly photo shoots, providing artistic direction, styling wardrobe, hiring models. We've already talked about this. Did you improve operational workflows in any other way?
Oh, let me think. As far as that goes, there wasn't much you could do. They already had that system. I'm trying to think if they had any.
Okay,
Oh
got
no,
it.
they
Okay.
I don't know.
So you also coordinated logistics and preparation for various fashion shows. How did you do this?
So that was figuring out location and model selection. Really, it was really trying to figure out models and going through whatever agencies, trying to pick stuff ourselves. The challenge with that is that we did not pay our models, so because they
Um,
were cheap. So
mhm.
it was really hard to try to figure that part out with being like, hey, you want to model for us? Oh, but we're not going to pay you. So trying to get all of that organized on the back end. We didn't do those very often, but
Mhm.
I did help when we did do them.
Okay, great. Uh, you also created weekly e-blasts and daily reports showcasing new store merchandise and monthly sales. So, what was this about, and did this in any way help you track sales or business performance?
Yeah,
Because
number
you
wise,
did,
I won't be able to tell you because I was never allowed to see any of that.
but
The week, I
you
mean,
did track performance, right?
uh, I mean, we didn't really check this. I'd say out of all of the places I've been, did not track stuff. And if they did, I never got to see it.
Okay.
Um,
What about vendor management? Did you do any of that?
any what? I'm sorry.
Vendor management, because it says that you prepared design files
Oh,
for
vendor management.
onset.
Yes, 100% on that. Yeah,
Okay.
that was working with our printing companies because we had several.
Hmm.
Yeah, it would be the printing company and it would be our photographer. Those are the two that I managed.
Okay. When you hired the local photographer, did you manage to decrease the cost somehow? Were you paying less to the local photographer than you were paying more to the other one, which was, what did you say, 10 miles away, 10 hours away?
Yeah, she was super far.
Okay, so did you manage to decrease the cost for this by
I don't
hiring
think so,
locally?
but I think it helped more on the other part to where it was convenience. It helped us that way to be able just to pop over to his studio and do things way easier because we had to ship everything to the other lady. It was way harder. So payment wise, no. Convenience, yes.
Makes sense. Okay. Would you like to add anything else, or shall we move on?
Uh, I think that was it for there.
Okay, great. Let's move on to fundraising and event coordinator for Epilepsy
So,
Foundation from
question on this one.
2014. Which one?
Is it even worth putting this one because of the time?
Actually, I was 50-50 on that. I thought maybe I'll ask you about the accomplishments and then I'll decide if I want to add it or not.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
as far as I see, it's April, right? The only thing is that I gap in your resume. So excluding this would showcase a 6-month gap. and that's a red flag for recruiters. So I don't want to do that. But what I can do is we can just discuss this very briefly. I don't need a
Okay.
lot of information. I just need 3 or 4 major accomplishments for this position, and that's about it.
Okay.
So we don't have to go into much detail about this.
Okay. Um.
Okay, so give me a quick overview of your responsibilities.
So first, let me say I was hired to be like a receptionist, but that quickly changed when they figured out I could do a lot of things creatively. So
Okay.
I I started, I believe, making flyers,
Mm-hmm.
and then and then I think the biggest thing that I would say that was also the most fun was the nurse training program that we had. They were trying to figure out a way to market it differently because the flyers or whatever they had before was horrible. It didn't
Mm-hmm.
get the program was so that they get more nurses to get into that program. Like the count that they had was like, I don't remember, but it was dismal, a dismal amount of people that would sign up. So they wanted obviously to increase that. So I figured out we worked with kids and families locally that were impacted by epilepsy, and I brought them
Mm-hmm.
into the office and photographed them so that I could use those photos within that camp or within that program advertisements. So I made these postcards that came out so pretty that we sent out to to that audience, whoever those people, whoever those nurses were. Unfortunately, I don't have numbers on how what that grew to, but I feel like it grew the number because there's no way when you compare what was before to what I made. What if you would get that postcard in the mail? You look at that. What the other thing was, there's no way people looked at that. That just went straight in the trash.
No,
So
definitely.
that was
You definitely improved the number of attendees for this training program.
yes,
Definitely.
yeah.
Okay, so was this just oh, wait, let me see. Okay, so did you identify the room for improvement in this program by yourself, or was this something
Yes,
that they approached you on?
that was by myself because I was
Oh.
like, this is so gross. Can we please change this? Oh,
Okay,
yeah,
that's amazing. So you approached them that, hello, please, let's improve this, and
please.
then you did, and
Yeah,
it definitely increased the number of attendees. Got it. That's a
yeah.
major accomplishment. What about the fundraisers? Do you have any metrics for the funds that you helped secure?
Ugh, no, I don't have that.
But you did
So
increase it, right?
so here's the thing with that, and that's why this title is so misleading. I feel like. So I don't even
Mhm.
remember what my title was when I first got there, but the job itself was essentially a receptionist. And so I wanted to be obviously a higher position. So I applied for the fundraising and event coordinator, and I did it that specific position for like a few weeks before I had got that Melrose job. So technically, I didn't
Oh,
even get to fundraise properly because I got that other position. So I had this title officially, but unofficially, I didn't get to do that particular part of the job because I quit. So the stuff that
okay.
I did was really under the title of that I already forgot before. So that's why it's a little weird. I feel like it's misleading, but I don't know how else to say
It's not an
what I
issue.
did.
We can
Okay.
I'll figure it out. Okay, so you also redesigned the foundation's event logos and annual camp brainstorm t-shirts. So what you improved the company merchandise?
Yeah, so we had different programs. There was an art therapy program. There was something with kids. I forgot. There was like 3 or 4 different programs where I completely redid the logo and all of the materials. And then Camp Brainstorm was a camp that kids with epilepsy would go to every year.
Mm-hmm.
So they already had that logo, so I couldn't change it, but I just made like the design for the t-shirts.
Okay. And how exactly did this impact the business with you revamping these programs? Did
I
it
would say it
help?
would just probably help with awareness purposes.
Okay.
It's just a
And
different change, like a change and look that people paid attention to, I would assume.
okay, makes sense. You also supervised online social networks while revamping the weekly newsletters. So, did this help improve industry networking?
Uh, I don't know if it did that. So they didn't really have much. They had, I think they only had Facebook. But
Okay.
once again, nobody knew how to use it. So I didn't really focus my time much on social. I tried to, but that job was more about designing like all these kinds of materials. So that was not so much. As far as weekly newsletters, that I did. Um, did I implement? I think I completely changed the
Did you
design of that
implement
as
that?
well. So they already had it through eye contact. I think that's what they used. So I had to teach myself how to use that because I had never used it. But I didn't completely like start that because they already had it, but I changed it for sure.
Okay, makes sense. Do you have anything else to add for this, or shall we move on?
I think that's it. Yeah, the nurse training thing was the biggest one there.
Yeah. Okay. So let's move on to the last one, which is Community Education Project Manager for Peace Corps from Jan 2012 till Jan 2014. So, what were your major responsibilities here?
So I was brought on to teach computer to the kids at that primary school, and that is definitely not the only thing I did. So when I got there,